Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. I think we'll wait a few more seconds before we get started, since there are still people incoming. Okay, but I'm being kind of impatient, so I think we can already start with the technical check. So first of all, hi and welcome to everybody. We're so happy to have you here. And before we get into the webinar, I would want to do a quick technical check. And I just want to make sure that you can see our presentation properly and yet you can hear me. And if you do so, please raise your hands via the GoToWebinar tool. There's a little symbol. Oh, and I can already see hands rising. Perfect. So everybody can hear us. Great. Another information before we get started, the webinar will be recorded and sent to all participants, so you can just lean back and listen to us. And also, if you have questions throughout the webinar, don't hesitate. We have a question tool in the GoToWebinar tool, so you can ask all kinds of questions and we'll make sure to answer either during the webinar, or if we don't have enough time, we'll reach out to you via email. So much for housekeeping. So let's switch to the next slide and get into the webinar topic of today. So yeah, as I mentioned, we're so excited since today we will be talking about FactFinder's perspective on AI and product discovery. And we especially welcome our partners, but of course, everybody else that joined. And we're very happy to have you here. And talking about we switch to the next slide. We is myself as the host of the webinar, but I'm also joined by one of FactFinder's greatest brains, I would say, which is Rasmus. So Rasmus, could you introduce yourself to the audience, please?
Hi, thanks, Samantha. Thank you. Yeah, my name is Rasmus. I am heading up the product team here at FactFinder, where we are planning the future feature development. So I've been with FactFinder since the beginning of the year, but I've been in software as a service and in software technology for more than a decade, developing a lot of products. So super happy to be here and share some of the newest things we have on the roadmap.
Thanks, Rasmus. And yeah, for the ones among you that doesn't know me, I'm Sam. I began my journey with e-commerce solutions a decade ago when I started at IBM. And over the years, I got some experience, especially joining FactFinder 5 years ago in consulting and after leading the team and now focusing on our product communication. And yeah, I'm happy to take you through the webinar. And I would say, let's jump right into the agenda of today's session. So the first thing that we want to talk about is give you a brief overview of the current status of the FactFinder platform. Next will be the classical way in which FactFinder projects run. And then we'll go more into the heavy topics. So the FactFinder AI wave, looking at new features, and then the FactFinder roadmap, and of course beyond. And as I mentioned at the very beginning, the Q&A session where we will be considering all the questions coming in and yeah, hoping to kind of getting into a more interactive part. So yeah, let's start with point number 1, the FactFinder platform, and let's jump right into the webinar. So what we're constantly working on and improving is this concept of authentic intelligence. That means we combine AI and human control. And this offers us the advantage of optimizing whatever is necessary and whatever can be done by artificial intelligence, personalizing, but also including human control over it. So that means introducing creativity, skills, and experience, since at the end of the day, our experience at FactFinder is that no one knows the online shop better than the actual host of the online shop, and no one knows their customers better. And so we think that the combination of artificial intelligence and human control provides a unique advantage. And this is also supported by the managing director of Boston Consulting Group that recently had a TED talk and worked out 3 key points that are kind of highlighted in this phrase that you can find on this slide. And Shervin Kurabande basically says that many companies invest significant amounts of money into AI, but only 10% of them achieve meaningful financial results. Secondly, the key to success is to find out how effectively companies integrate the people with AI so that the AI as well as the people can mutually benefit from it. And thirdly, you can see it in the state, companies that successfully build human AI relationships get 5 times the financial value than companies that just use AI to replace people. And so I think we need to realize that AI is a great technology. It's super beneficial. It can help us in so many different ways. But us as human beings, we have to define in which way we want AI to work and in which way we want AI to learn so that it is as beneficial as it can be for us as companies. Next slide, please. And yeah, so basically the way AI or authentic intelligence, so the combination of AI and human control supports us is in 3 different ways. So first of all, it delivers a support for our teams by empowering them to automate away some of the more manual tasks while giving them the opportunity to take control of some of the more strategic areas. So just creating new areas for a smart way of using our resources that we have in-house. Secondly, for your business or the businesses of our mutual customers. It allows them to optimize on-site experience and convert more customers, helping to overcome rising customer acquisition costs. And thirdly, of course, the customer at the end of the shopping experience, so our buyers. Here, the authentic intelligence can help them find the right things very quickly and easily while considering our strategy as a company. And so together, these combine to save time and money and hence increase sales and ultimately improve our profitability as organizations. Next slide, please. And so, yeah, what I basically said about authentic intelligence is reflected in the way that we build FactFinder and that we work on FactFinder because we build authentic intelligence into the heart of our engine. And so it allows e-commerce teams like yourself or the e-commerce teams of our mutual customers to reap the benefits of AI built with the ability to apply human control. And I think that this comes into play in many different areas. So starting with product discovery, which includes a smart product search, suggests, filters, analytics, and rankings, over to personalization. So we can personalize search more and more based on the specific intent a customer has when visiting our online shop, up to customer-specific information. So enabling us as online shops or us who are supporting online shops in displaying specific information, for example, specific price information tied to a specific customer account. And so this is how we at FactFinder put authentic intelligence into play. And if we go to the next slide, we got great testimonials from over 2,000 leading retailers that are implementing FactFinder at the moment. And in this case, we're considering international online shops, B2B as well as B2C customers, making use of, as we call it, the sweet spot between artificial intelligence and human control. And so this is our current standpoint overall when we look at FactFinder. However, Rasmus will dig a bit deeper into that and also focus on the more technical topics. But now we got the introduction. You basically know our product offering. But let me take it a step further and look into FactFinder projects. Now, some of you may realize FactFinder projects regularly with us. However, I think it's never bad to get an overview. And so for this, let's start with the FactFinder project team. When we're setting up a project at FactFinder, considering partners, as some of yourselves are, we always include different parties to ensure a full support, considering technical perspective as well as the strategic perspective. And this is why everything starts with the project management team. The project management team is really there to organize meetings, address certain topics, and have a general understanding of what the customer needs and transfer this knowledge into FactFinder and make sure that there's a good exchange between all parties involved. So in this case, FactFinder, but the customer as well as the partner that might be included. Another party that is involved, besides project management, are the business consultants. And as the name already implies, they're focused more on the strategic implementation of FactFinder. So they're basically responsible for making sure that the data is right, that the overall FactFinder settings work out in the best way possible, and that they achieve your business goals via the engine. And then, of course, we got the technical consultants. Our technical consultants are fully responsible for the technical integration, also considering partners. So this is always, communication is always at the main point of our project management. And whatever technical questions may arise due to the specific infrastructure of an online shop or the overall implementation of FactFinder, technical consultants are here. And then overall, we always got the customer success manager also included to make sure that maybe contractual topics or rather general topics might also be considered. And as you can see here, we added the different team leads to the presentation so that you might get a feeling and a sense of who is responsible. So you can see Vanessa Kaiser is in charge for the business consulting team as well as project management. We got Sebastian Ertelt, which is responsible for the technical consulting part. And of course, Andre Czerny, our VP for customer success. So you can see that this is a process where many different parties are involved. And now let's look at what this might look like in a specific FactFinder project. So as you can see, this is a classical roadmap. And a FactFinder project usually takes up to 70 days, of course, considering all the different parties involved. So as soon as the customer signs the contract, you can see that the customer and the partner part is reflected in purple and FactFinder is reflected in pink. So the first step would be the preparation of the project. So talking about documentation, the kickoff, making sure that all the parties involved know their clear responsibilities and the things that need to be done over the time of the project. Next step then is the basic setup. So setting up FactFinder from a development perspective, so setting up the dev environment, migrating information, migrating data into the FactFinder environment to make sure that we get a clean start and that everything that needs to be considered is considered. Third step is then the platform integration as well as optimization. So once we integrate the platform, we also make sure to optimize according to your needs or to your business needs to make sure that your strategic goals or the strategic goals of our mutual end customer are reflected best as possible in the engine. This then leads to the migration to the live setup. So we transport the development setup to the live setup and have a quality assurance. And again, throughout this time, we're always communicating, always working together. And as you can see reflected by the colors, all parties, so the customers, the partners, as well as FactFinder, are included and responsible and taken along. And this is why we really pay close attention to always be in exchange and to clarify from the early beginning that we are not here to replace anybody or take over somebody's roles, but that we only can succeed if we all work together. And so the customer has their responsibilities as well as the business partner, since we strongly rely on your support. And finally, the go live with the deployment. And again, below you can see how long each phase takes. So starting with the preparation up to the integration until go live. And this is just to give you a quick overview of what a project typically looks. But also, let's be honest, it's just a simplified overview since there are a lot of codependencies, and sometimes FactFinder has deliverables, but sometimes partners and customers have as well. And so, yeah, we want to make sure to let you know that we're always here in projects to support you, since you are supporting customers as business partners, and to ensure that you get all the support that you need along the way. And as you saw on the slide before, that there are different ways of communicating and different people you can talk to depending on the topic, and that there's always somebody at hand you can reach out. So much for the FactFinder platform as well as the FactFinder projects. I would now hand over to Rasmus.
Thank you, Samantha. Thank you. I hope that gave a good introduction and some understanding of how we do with our projects. Now, I'd really like to show you and talk about some of the new things we have in line, some of the things that we are about to release to our customers. And no surprise, this is all about AI, right? As Sam has been introducing the authentic intelligence. But I think there's something to it. There's no news that AI, like 2023, is the year of the AI. And the reason for that being that it's starting to become accessible for many. It's something that everyone can go in and use OpenAI on a personal level. And it is really getting to a level where it becomes very smart. That we already this year saw a lot of developments in ChatGPT and how it in the beginning couldn't pass a law exam, but now it can. And we also see how AI actually creates value in different applications. For instance, like analyzing DNA and structures of proteins. So AI is definitely also in e-commerce gonna be a game changer. So what's our take on it? Well, we believe it's going to continue to penetrate more of the e-commerce value creation. So it's starting to move us into a state where we are on par with the in-shop experience. And we believe that these large language models like ChatGPT and the like is going to make a huge difference in order to understand the customer and provide guidance. Now, however, not every problem in e-commerce can be solved by understanding language. We also need to apply AI to understand the customer behavior and the intent. And we also believe that there's a lot of hidden insights in the data we have as an e-commerce business, which we can use AI to leverage. And FactFinder's point of view is that we want to take AI as a tool, not having it as an autopilot, but as a co-pilot. It's going to be a tool, and FactFinder is going to be that like everything else, which we need to use and step on. So, what are then the traditional challenges of search? Well, we see kind of like four areas. Search is not easy. So I think everyone's been on the site and gotten that experience of like trying to find stuff, and it just didn't happen. And very often we see that it's because of sparse data. Like many e-commerce don't have big data and a lot of traffic. So this is a challenge for traditional machine learning methods and AI. And we also see that a shopper has a different intent every time they visit the site. They might go for one thing one day and for another thing the other day. So you need to really adapt to the intent of that current moment. And then we also have many coming to us and say, like, well, the changing product data is also a challenge. Like new products added to the catalog and going out, and we need to keep it up to date all the time. And sometimes that data we have about our products is not the best quality. We lack some metadata on it. So how do we go about solving those problems? we believe the answer is what we have called Atlas AI. So it's our own proprietary AI that learns very quickly on very little data to provide relevant search results that are based on wisdom of the crowd, on interactions across the complete shopper crowd. And it's able to adapt to the shopper's intent in the session. And it understands the relations between products, which means it's able to provide automatic recommendations and quickly adapt new products into the catalog. Let me give you a demonstration. Hopefully now you should see the screen. So this is our next generation product, and this is the cockpit. So that's kind of like the working tool we have behind the scenes to test different searches. I can start by entering a search here. This is a German shop, so I'm going for Zelt, and I can see the list of search results. So what I see here is based on a lot of text recognition, so a lot of text matching. And it does provide me some relevant results in terms of tenants, but we can agree that it's not the best. I mean, it catches stuff that we won't associate with a tenant. Now, let me just switch on Atlas AI. So now, using that AI, we've been learning based on the wisdom of the crowd, based on the interactions with the customer, that when you search for Zelt, it's actually a tenant. And we apply that on top. And as we mentioned, with authentic intelligence, you're able to control the influence of that AI if you want it to have a big effect or a small effect. Furthermore, on top of the AI, we have the merchandising tools about pushing up products or pushing down products that are low in stock, pushing up products that are high in margin, or pushing up products that got a good rating by customers. And we can enable and disable these as well in the software. And that will then change the order of the search result, as you see here, while still using the Atlas AI's wisdom of the crowd. Now, let me just go to a shopper's perspective to show you guys the in-session intent. So imagine I'm in a shop here and I'm searching for a t-shirt. It will provide me a range of results. So the most relevant ones based on all our shopper interactions on t-shirts. If I click on one, the AI knows that, it catches this behavior. And say I like Patagonia, and I search for Patagonia, it will know that because I've been on a Patagonia t-shirt before, it will show me Patagonia t-shirts. So it adapts to my intent in the current session. That's one of the part. And did I add it to the basket and buy it? And if you have tracking enabled, it will also adapt my results on my next visit to the site. So that's Atlas AI.
Rasmus, can I interrupt you real quick? Sorry.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm thinking about a question because we had a customer event in September. And when looking into this session intent, I was wondering how, and it might be interesting for the audience, how we deal with cookies when it comes to that. So do we have to enable them?
Yes, to have the in-session intent, you need cookies enabled. We need the tracking data. If you disable those, we cannot know the history also in the session. For the general Atlas AI, the wisdom of the crowd, we call it, we don't need tracking enabled. So you still get the benefits without the tracking.
Okay, great. Thanks for the differentiation. Just wanted to make sure that we put it out there. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Thanks. So next thing I want to touch upon is how we leverage these large language models in search. And one of the features we are currently having in testing, we're calling GPT Synonyms. So that automates the creation of synonyms by using OpenAI as a synonym creator. So often we know that there's multiple words for the same thing, right? Like a mobile phone, it's called a cell phone or a handy And that's what we want to leverage here. And from our own testing, we see that we can save up to 70% of e-commerce managers' time by using this large language model. Let me exemplify that too in the product. Jumping back to our cockpit. So let me try to search here. I'm in a German channel, so I'm in a German product catalog, and I'm searching for Sonnies. So this might become increasingly more common word also in German for actually searching for a pair of sunglasses. But we clearly see that that's not the search results which you would expect. We get sunglasses a bit down the line of the search results. So what I can do is that I can activate the GPT synonyms, and I'll ask, so what are good synonyms for Sonnies? And it will bring me suggestions. It will bring me Sonnenbrille and Schettengläser, which I can apply and close. And I can immediately see the effects of these things. So what I can do, I can go through my frequent searches, ask that are not that performing, like looking at my analytics, and I can use GPT synonyms to create good matching synonyms that increase the relevance. So really looking forward to get that in the hands of all our customers. We're currently testing it and got good feedback. Moving on in the presentation, another thing we are developing now is the GPT content index. So it's also using OpenAI. And what we're doing is we're having a service that can crawl internal content, and it can classify it and summarize it, being it a page, a PDF, an image. And we also even see good results on videos. So if you have a lot of content on a web page, you can easily get the service to crawl it and index it and create small summaries. And then you can use FactFinder to search for the content. So we believe it's going to be a great time saver as well, and a great way to automate the content indexing if you have a lot of long documents and images as well.
Another question that I might add to that, sorry, Rasmus, for interrupting again. I mean, I come across a lot of online shops that have actual content like blog entries and so on and so forth, and they always appreciate it if a search engine could be able to also search for information throughout this long list of information. But in general, is this only tied to your own content as an online shop, or does it also consider web content? Is a question that I get asked pretty frequently.
That's a really good question. This is targeted the website's own content. So this is not crawling the internet. This is a way to, instead of indexing your products, indexing the content that is on your site. So this is it also means that we're only handling the data from the own shop, from the shop's own data. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's basically like the usual FactFinder concept that we only consider the information on the online side, on the web page, information that are shared with us, but nothing beyond that. It's really focused on the shop itself.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
And in terms of GDPR, we are only handling data and sending to OpenAI what is publicly available on the site. There's no personal identifiable information in that. We have had GDPR experts looking at our solution, and they confirmed that this is adhering to the regulations.
Yeah, that's a great add-on, since GDPR is always a topic, especially in German-speaking areas. Yeah, thanks.
Yes, we're good with this usage, yeah. Another thing we have is our web components and SDKs, and we're constantly improving these. So we are creating like good interfaces that for Magento, Shopware, Oxid, and SAP Commerce to export data into FactFinder, and also simplifying the user interface for integration. So what we're doing here is we're improving them to make it easier and faster to learn, to integrate with FactFinder, and give a better experience as a developer during the implementation. So this is really leveraging good APIs, good connectors to make the integration more smooth for these 4 shop platforms. So if you want to know more about these integrations, please feel free to reach out. We're constantly improving them. Next thing I want to touch upon is another piece of AI we have in the making, and that targets the question about, as an e-commerce, how do I actually promote the right products at the right time, especially when I have very little time. We have a vast suite of merchandising capabilities, able to create ranking rules and able to create campaigns, but often it's really hard to foresee what's actually getting popular and what's actually trending. And our answer to that is Pulse. So it will detect on the site what has a recent increase in popularity in terms of search, and then it will boost those products, assuming that what people are looking for is relevant products that's able to convert. So in this example, it might be that there's a certain candle that becomes very popular. It could be a new hardware release. It could be that there's a local marathon that makes shoes really popular. And we'll detect that. We'll detect a very, very short recent interest and then push those products up. Let me give you an example. What you see here is the interface of Pulse. So on this particular web shop here, I can see what are the most trending products. So this is a snapshot taken a few days after the iPhone 15 was released. And if I inspect that, I can see an immediate growth in popularity and in momentum from just the 13th of September to the 14th of September. So, of course, that shows an interest. Now I want to boost this product. And if I then go look at it from the shopper's perspective, and I search for iPhone, then Pulse automatically brings the iPhone 15 to the top of the search results. So after only 2 days of data and interest, we promote the most popular product. Now we still adhere to the relevance long term, so the wisdom of the crowd. We still know that based on interactions, the iPhone 14 is a very popular product. So we keep that also at the top of the search results. And we do the opposite. So when interest decreases in a product, then we move it down the list. So we constantly adapt to the products. And it's one thing to see. I've been looking at different sites, and also you can see the seasonal effects. So Christmas stuff getting increasingly popular, winter jackets. And I think it really is gonna help decrease the amount of hours you have to put into merchandising as an e-commerce shop. You don't have to be pushing out all the new releases and pushing them to the top. You can let Pulse handle that. Now, one thing I need to stress is that it's only based on the interactions on the shop. So it doesn't go scout the web for popularity on social media. So this is based on interactions on the shop, which is also, I think, necessary because we want to just focus on the products that are available in the shop. Moving back to the presentation, another thing which we're about to release is the use of single sign-on. So I guess many of you are familiar with that, but that's providing the security and multi-factor authentication of Microsoft's to FactFinder. So it's going to give increased security, and it's going to be a better user experience, less passwords to remember to log in and use FactFinder products. So we're going to have that soon as well. So these were some of the things that we are currently testing and that we are about to release. Now, I want to step into looking a bit further on the roadmap. So what we're working on, what we are exploring. And I want to put a few words on, so who actually defines the product roadmap? Well, my role is to listen to partners, to listen to customers and understand the needs, and then adapt the roadmap to that. So our roadmap is based on our customers' input. And we assess everything to make sure we bring as much value to everyone as possible. Now, what I also want to just touch upon is that, happy to share, we've been just included in the Forrester Wave. So Forrester is an independent organization doing reports and recommendations, and we are in the top 10 commerce search and product discovery providers in Q3 2023. And specifically, we got the feedback that FactFinder has a strong roadmap with a clear path forward. So I hope I can prove that with some of the things I'm going to show you next. I showed you GPT synonyms. Now it's just the first step of using large language model. The next step is that we're going to look at the data of a shop and look at the search terms that don't perform very well. So that means where a customer has been searching for something and found it long down the search results and clicked on it and potentially purchased it. So that means it's a bad search. It's a bad search experience. So we're going to crunch that data, and then we're going to apply synonyms on it to put it further up the search results. And this is going to happen completely automatically. You can set this feature to run in the background, and it will suggest you synonyms, which improves relevance. So I really think this is going from autopilot to copilot, using AI to increase conversion on your site. Also, everything runs on technology, everything runs on an infrastructure. And a lot of the things I'm talking about here is very value-based. I want to ensure you that we're also working on the back end to make sure that we have innovative technology for the future. And some of the projects we have is about increasing the uptime. So we currently provide 99.9%, but we also see requests for having an even higher reliability and uptime. So we're looking into exploring, for instance, geo-redundant server setups to accomplish that. We're also working on making the upgrades to new versions smoother and faster, and also to improve the speed of the data import of the product data feed and the product catalog. So these are the things that we are having in relative close proximity. Now, what we are exploring right now and what we are considering, I want to put a few words on this one. We have the ability already now in next generation to provide guided selling dialogues. So that's increasingly relevant if you have a very complex product assortment, and it's basically mirroring the in-store experience where you would talk with a clerk and just here, for instance, we're in a floral shop, and you will ask you, so what color matches your interior? And you can get some guiding questions to identify and narrow down the amount of products. What color, what kind of pattern, what kind of material, and that way you can guide the customer to a certain product. Now, this takes time to set up. Like, it takes time as a human to create these dialogues. Instead, we want to have AI understand the product catalog and propose these guided selling dialogues automatically. Again, this is about really saving time for the e-commerce merchant and increasing relevance. So I'm also really looking forward to get that project further.
Yeah, maybe I can add something to that from experience. So we usually in consulting set up this guided selling campaigns with customers. And it always is important to be aware of the data that you have, considering the questions that you have and how you want to break this question tree down. And this can be quite complex and overwhelming because since we talk about large online shops, there is a lot of information coming with that. So this will be a real benefit in the future if the AI is smart and can just propose us what kind of guided sales cleric we should have based on the different customer experiences our customers make. So I don't know if any of you partners was already confronted with that, but that is a huge benefit from my experience as a consultant. And so I'm really looking forward to that. Thanks, Rasmus.
Thanks, Sam. No, this is an exciting project. Next thing we're exploring is to use segmentation data better in the search. So how can we use all the data we know about the shopper, having cookies enabled and tracking, and basing it on their device and their age, their location? How can we use that to make the search even more relevant? And we're exploring integration options with for instance, CDPs and other platforms to get that data better and to improve the search. The final thing I want to talk about and want to show is a project we have very much in the lab, so it's very exploratory, but it's combining our own Atlas AI with the power of large language models. So it would be able to understand the semantics better of what you actually type in. It will be better at understanding a long search query. And we see today with ChatGPT that people are changing the way they might go about searching. They might start asking questions. They might talk about problems. I don't believe normal keyword search is going to go away just immediately, but likely people are starting to interact in a different way. Let me show you an example. Here I have a search engine set up to understand the semantics of my words. So in this shop I could go write things that I can use to catch animals that are living in the sea. So on a normal search engine, this will yield very few results. But here we can actually see that it understands what I'm trying to do. It's actually finding equipment that can be used to catch animals living in the sea. However, it also shows that there are some anomalies here, something that doesn't work. So have a look at these swimming things down here and this funny tool. So it shows the potential, but also shows the limitation. I could also try to say things that are made of chocolate that I can eat. And it would actually understand, based on the product descriptions, that this is something made of chocolate and what I can eat. That's actually a pretty good search result. So that's one way of using the new power of LLMs. Let me show you a different example where we've been using AI to understand what's on the image. So what I'm going to show you here is not looking at the product data. It only looks at the image. So I can try to search for flower. It actually brings me up products that has a flower on it. Notice that there's nothing in the text here that says flower anywhere. I can write flower print, and it actually shows me a flower print. I can extend and say, okay, I'm actually looking for a dress with a flower print on it, and it does find me flower print dresses. I can add that I only want it with a short sleeve, and it gives a pretty decent amount of search result with short sleeves. Also gives me a kids one. Okay, let me just add also kids to it. It shows me flower print dresses for kids with short sleeves. It's also really showing the potential here of how you can use AI. And I want to stress that what I'm showing here is very exploratory. We are not close to being able to release this, but I just want to keep you informed about what we're working on and what we are looking to when we talk roadmap. So with that, I think I want to open up the floor for questions. And I realize we spent our 45 minutes. So yeah, for those you have that have to leave, please go. But I'm able to stay here a bit longer. I think Sam as well to take any questions you might have.
Yeah, Rasmus. So you're on point. Since I'm cautious of time and we know it's the working week, everyone got meetings. There was one question about GDPR, but I think that you already mentioned quite well how we at FactFinder deal with GDPR. But a second question that might also be interesting to a lot of people is how does Atlas AI compare to vector search, since vector search is kind of a hot topic at the moment? So maybe you can answer that question, and we will answer the rest via email.
Great question. Yes, vector search. So the common definition of vector search, as I hear it, is that it's able to understand the semantics of what I write. So like in the example, things used to catch animals that live in the sea. Now, Atlas AI is different from vector search. It's understanding and mapping the product catalog. It understands the relationships between products. It learns very fast based on the interaction of the shoppers. And that's the current AI we have, which I demonstrated in the beginning, and which is very soon available for customers. The vector search part is a very exploratory thing in the moment. We're trying to combine the best of both worlds of keyword search and vector search. But that's not something we have available short term.
Okay, great. Thanks for answering the question. As I mentioned, there are still some more questions, but we will reach out by email since we are cautious of your time. Thanks so much for joining today's webinar, and please reach out if there are any questions even beyond. Maybe you might come up with a question tomorrow or next week. We're always happy to help and be in exchange. And we hope that we could give you some insights of how we work, what's coming up next. And we'll be happy to work with all of you in the future and talk to customers and support them mutually by cooperation. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great day.
Thanks.